Hi, I'm Richard Maraj, Senior Minister at Unity of Phoenix Spiritual Center, and I want to thank you for visiting our website and for tuning in to today's message. If you feel inspired by today's talk, I really encourage you to make a donation by hitting that button below and making a contribution to this ministry. It'll allow us to continue these messages online and to do the great work we do here at Unity of Phoenix, which is to inspire people to live better lives. So thanks for tuning in, thanks for your support, and we hope to see you at a Sunday real soon.
Good morning again, everyone. And a shout out to everybody who tunes in and watches us online. So this morning, we are going to talk about what I think is the fundamental element of the Christmas season. It is, I believe, at the root of the Christmas story. It is the first theme in the 4 weeks of Advent, and I believe it's a fundamental principle for living a happy, joyful, and meaningful life. And it is a thing that we so easily and so often overlook, but it is the power that really gives us strength, that gives us courage, that gives us the determination, the persistence, and perseverance to overcome it. It is a thing that helps us rise up, to hang on and hang in there and just keep going. It is the thing that makes a difference between us feeling powerful and powerless. The difference between us feeling like a victim and a victor, or succumbing or succeeding. And today we're going to talk about hope. Sometimes I don't think we realize how powerful hope is in our lives. But when we have hope, we can endure anything. We can go through anything and rise above it and overcome it. And we can achieve anything when we have hope. But when we lose hope, Martin Luther King says we lose the very vitality of living itself. Because we can sink into despair and not even try. We give up, we give in, we settle. And sometimes we don't even dream because we just don't believe that we can improve our lives. So today we are talking about the power of hope. And my question for you is, how many people have a challenging situation in your life that you hope improves or hope gets better? How many people? And how many people have ever had a situation in your life where that hasn't been working for so long, in some ways you've given up hope? You've even lost hope if it'll ever get resolved or ever get better. How many people could use a little more hope in your life? And how many people hope that the joke I'm about to tell you is better than the usual? Oh, okay, all right. Oh, so now you raise your hands. Oh, so now. All right, I kind of feel a love behind it, but here we go. So little Johnny was always misbehaving, getting in trouble all the time, and Christmas was coming, and he really wanted to get a present, so he decided to write a Christmas note for Jesus. And he wrote this: "Dear Jesus, I'm sorry for my behavior this past year, but if you give me a bike, I promise I will be a good boy for one whole year." And so he goes down to the mailbox, and on his way, before leaving the house, he sees his mom's statue of the Virgin Mary, and then he suddenly feels guilty because he knows there's no way he's going to be a good boy for one whole year. So he feels bad, and he puts his head down, he crumples up the letter, and he goes back to his room. And he sits down, and he writes Jesus another letter. "Dear Jesus, I'm sorry for my bad behavior, but if you give me a bike, I promise I'll be a good boy for 6 months." So he starts walking down to the mailbox again, and before he gets there, he sees the statue of the Virgin Mary, and he feels guilty again. And he knows that's not going to happen. He's not going to be a good boy for 6 months. So he picks up the statue of the Virgin Mary and takes it to his room, stuffs it at the bottom of his toy box, closes the box, sits on the box, and writes, "Dear Jesus, if you ever want to see your mother again." Okay, so, all right. So, see, there's hope. There's hope. All right. So whether you have been knocked down by life or want to improve some area of your life, whether you are dealing with an addiction or dealing with cancer or some health issue, whether you want to change your attitude or experience greater peace of mind or have success or take your life to another level or tell better jokes, it all begins with hope. When it says, keep hope alive, the truth is, hope is what keeps us alive. Hope's hope is what helps us survive and thrive. Hope is a thing that gives us the impetus to grow and to progress and to improve and to advance in our life. Everything begins with hope. Any improvement in our life first begins with hope. Sometimes we overuse the word hope. We say things like, I hope I win the lottery. Hope you have a nice day. Hope you're doing well. Hope it doesn't rain. I hope the Cardinals win today. We use hope in all kinds of different ways. And sometimes we miss out on the depth and the power of hope. In Corinthians it says, and these three remain, faith, hope, and love, and the greatest of these is love. Faith gets a lot of press, hope, and well-deserved. And sometimes we think faith and love, but we don't think as much of hope. We don't think it's as meaningful. We don't think it's as powerful. But the truth is, you cannot have spiritual growth without hope. Your life cannot advance without hope. That hope is at the foundation of change and transformation and improvement and progress. It is at the foundation of breakthroughs and miracles. Everything begins with hope. It couldn't happen without hope. If you look at Christmas, Christmas is a story about hope. It is the celebration and the hope of the birth of the Christ child, which was told to us in the book of Isaiah, would be the hope for all people. To give the people hope. So 700 years before his birth, it was predicted in the book of Isaiah, for unto us a child is born, and his name will be Wonderful Counselor, Almighty God, Everlasting Father, and Prince of Peace. See, the children of Israel were struggling under the oppression of the Roman Empire, and they were looking for hope. Some hope for freedom, some hope for a better life, some hope for peace. And this hope came in the form of Mary, a young girl, an innocent young girl, who was told that she would give birth to the Messiah, to give hope to all people. So the first Christmas is really a story of hope. It is the hope of a birth that didn't seem possible to a virgin. Now, thinking a virgin's going to have a baby, that's a whole lot of hope, folks, right there. And here's the interesting thing that I think, that the hope of something greater was born in a condition and through an individual where you didn't think something greater could come, where you didn't think that there would be hope. And that is one of the messages of Christmas, to know that there is hope for your life, that there is a light being born in you and into this world that will bring you out of any darkness, that the message of Christmas is a message of hope. The Christ child being born is that the light of hope is born in you. That's why it says, Christ in you, the hope of glory. Thanks for participating. Christ in you, the hope of glory. So Christmas is about the birth of the Christ and the birth of hope in us, which is our path to a greater and better life, to greater possibilities. And in the same way that the angel came to Mary to say that something greater will be born in you, through you, that will bring more light and good into the world and hope for the world, every one of us is being called to give birth to something greater in us. So I want you to think about hope and how it plays a role in your life. Think about how you use hope in your life. And ask yourself the question, is there a place for you to have hope, have a bigger role in the way that you live and show up? The thing about Mary that I really loved is that even though this was an amazing, huge thing, giving birth to something greater she could imagine, that even though she didn't quite get it all, that it seemed so huge, the one thing is she was willing. She was willing to let hope open her and to do something more amazing than she thought she could. So my question for you is, are you willing to cultivate more hope in your life? Are you willing to allow hope to expand you and lift you to a higher experience of living so you can bring forth something greater to not just bless you, but to bring more light and goodness into the world? So here are the 4 things that Mary did, I think, that helped cultivate and to express this incredible power of hope. And the first thing is that she was willing to believe. Even though she was told that she would do this great thing, it said she was perplexed and she was confused. But you know what? Even though she was confused and perplexed and afraid, she was still willing to believe. She was willing to believe. 3 things. 1, she was willing to believe that she could do something greater, that this greater thing, the birth of the Christ, should take place through her. She was willing to believe it was possible. And she was willing to believe that she was the one that was called to do it. I want you to think of an area in your life that you're struggling, where you might be afraid. And the question is, are you willing to still believe that God has something great for you to do? Are you willing to believe that that thing is possible? And are you willing to believe that you're the one to bring it forth? See, we're always willing to believe that someone else will do the great thing, that someone else is chosen. The question is, are you willing to believe that you have something great that God wants you to give birth to? And maybe it's to bring healing to your family. Maybe it's to bring more compassion and understanding. Maybe it's to serve children. Maybe it's to write a book. I don't know what it is. But I absolutely know that God has something greater that wants to be born in and through us to bring more light and goodness into the world. The question is, are you willing to believe it? Are you willing to allow God to use you in a more amazing and wonderful way to bring more goodness and light into the world? And are you willing to believe that it's possible? It's an interesting thing. There's a correlation between hope and your sense of possibility. People who have more hope in their life see more possibilities, even in difficult situations. But when we don't feel much hope, that we don't see very many possibilities. And particularly, we don't see solutions in areas of our lives that aren't working well. Does that make sense, everyone? When you have hope, you see more possibilities. When you don't see as many possibilities. So when you look at that scripture, with God, all things are possible. The truth is, what hope is an awareness of the connection with God. And when we're connected with God with hope, guess what? We see more possibilities for our lives. So think of a situation in your life that isn't working well and ask yourself, what possibilities are you seeing for it now? Do you see positive possibilities? Do you see greater solutions? Do you see ways that your life might improve and you could be, stronger and wiser because of this, that your life will get better? Because if we can't see possibilities, it means we need to get back to that first line, which is with God, all things are possible. It means we need to be more connected with God, because that's where the power of hope really comes from. Are you willing to believe that God has something greater for you to do? Are you willing to believe that it's possible? And are you willing to believe that it is you, that you are the one to do this great and wonderful thing? Second thing is Mary was willing to trust. She was willing to believe, and she was also willing to trust. Here's what it says. The angel said, "Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God. And now you will conceive in your womb a son, and you will name him Jesus." And Mary said to the angel, "How can this be, since I'm a virgin?" The angel said to her that the Holy Spirit will come upon you, and the power of the Most High will overshadow you. So here's Mary being told she would do this amazing thing. And her first response is, hey, I'm a virgin. I am not prepared. I'm not qualified. I don't have what it takes. And this would be a normal reaction for most human beings, being told you were going to do something great. You're going to be a great leader. You're going to invent something. You're going to do something. Sometimes we'll say stuff like, hey, whoa, that's good, but I'm not quite ready yet. Anybody need to have all your ducks in a row and all your lights green before you decide to do something? That's the kind of stuff we can do. But Mary didn't know how to do this. She didn't think she was qualified. She didn't think she had all her information, but she trusted. She didn't need to know all the details of everything. She trusted this good thing would happen. She trusted that God would give her what she needed when she needed it. Sometimes we, freak out and start worrying about when's this going to happen? How is this going to happen? Well, we don't need to do that, because when you trust God, when you believe that it's possible and begin to trust God, all the details will begin to unfold and come in its right and perfect time. Our money says, in God we trust. And so that's what we need to do. We need to trust, to not worry, to not get freaked out. Just know and believe that it'll come in its right and perfect time. I love the scripture in the book of Proverbs 3, verses 5 and 6. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. And lean not to your own understanding, but in all ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your path. One thing I've come to realize is that trust is not in the intellect. It's not in the head. It's in the heart. See, when you got a big thing in your life, you start getting in your head. How's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? Why isn't it happening now? But what we need to do is to drop into our heart, go from our heart to our head. That's why it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. I've had couple of situations in my life that just haven't been going as well as I'd like. A couple of problems that I just didn't know the solution to. I didn't know how it was going to work. And so I started thinking, how's this going to work? Trying to analyze, trying to think, trying to philosophize, all these things I was trying to do. But then I realized, no, I need to trust God with my heart and get out of my head. To not worry and stress. And guess what? Over the next few days and over the next week or so, things began to unfold and fall into place. Because it's a matter of your heart, not your head. We like to overthink things in life. But the question is, like Mary, she just trusted in her heart. And things unfolded just the way as she needed them. Are you willing to believe? Are you willing to trust God with all your heart? And then the third one is, are you willing to work? There's done studies that show that people who have hope tend to be more engaged in life. They tend to be more active, more giving. They take risks. They use their creativity and their problem solving. It is amazing because the fact is, hope has to be alive. You can hope to be in good shape all you want, but if you aren't willing to work and go to the gym, it ain't going to happen. You can hope to have a great relationship, but until you start sharing and having intimacy and honesty in the relationship or going to therapy, it isn't going to get better. You have got to be willing to do work. Hope is a live and active thing. Remember when it says faith without works is dead? Well, hope without works is dead. Einstein said nothing happens till something moves. You've got to be active. We have got to put our faith into action. And the thing about people who have hope, they put it into action. And even if it doesn't work, they know that they have hope so strong, they know they'll learn something from it. They know that just because they fail or make a mistake, that's not a big deal. They know that putting their hope and their faith into action will always get them further, even if it doesn't work, because they can learn and grow and become better and wiser in those situations. It said that people who don't have hope tend not to try. They tend to always play it safe. Because when you don't have hope, you think if you fail, you'll fall apart. That is not the truth. When you have hope, you know that all things are working together for your highest good. Even when it doesn't work out that well, it'll still teach you. But you got to be willing to try, and you got to be willing to work. So think of something in your life right now that you're hoping improves. And my question for you is, are you willing to do some work on it? And what is it calling you to do? Maybe it's to make a phone call. Maybe it's to go out and get some help. Maybe it's to go to the gym. I don't know what it is, but I guarantee you, whatever it is you hope gets better, you need to be willing to do some work. We all need to be willing to put things into action. Again, Einstein, nothing happens till something moves. What does Nike say? What's their slogan? Just do it. You got to get out there and do it. Get that energy in motion to create more good and abundance in your life. And the final one that Mary did is she was willing to allow it to happen. Sometimes we try to force things to happen. We want to make things happen. And sometimes we want to just control everything so that it happens our way. Sometimes we always want to fix it and just fight for it to happen and struggle for it to happen. And sometimes we just need to not try and force it to happen, but just allow it to happen. Sometimes the resistance that we put and the struggle that we put and the strain and the stress and the worry and the need to control everything actually repels the very good that we're trying to seek. And sometimes we need to just allow the good to happen in our lives. How good are you at just allowing things to happen instead of forcing things to happen? It's a bit of that line of let go and let God. Because you can do your work, but then you got to let go. Let me give you a little example of the art of allowing. So I have this goal to watch an NBA game in every NBA city. There are 30. I'm at number 16. Last Friday I was in Memphis, and I watched the Toronto Raptors against, because I'm from Canada, I like watching them against the Memphis Grizzlies. So the way I do it with my friend Mike, who's in North Carolina, I buy the tickets, and when I've got the tickets, then we get our airline, and then we get the hotel. We always do it that way, 16 different cities. We've been doing it that way. In September, I got the date of Friday, December the 8th to go see in Memphis the Raptors play. And so I normally just have an easy time getting the tickets, but I couldn't get the tickets. But I figured 15 years in a row, I always get tickets eventually. So let's go ahead and book our flight and the hotel. We had it all set. I couldn't get the tickets. And so I'm trying to get the tickets. Some of them don't release tickets that early in September for the game in December, and they're just starting the season. So I am struggling, and I can't get tickets online, and it's hard to find accessible seats. And then I found this brokerage place, and they want to charge me way too much money. I said, no way, I'm getting tickets somehow, but not by you. And so I'm getting this thing. So 2 weeks before the game, I have no tickets. And Mike texts me, he says, hey, everything good with the tickets? I said, yep, it's good. We're all good. So I am calling, I am phoning. So I'd met a friend by phone in October, and we've been friends. The person lives in New York, which happened in a way. And so 2 weeks before, I get this text from Mike, and I said, hey, I got this thing, and this person, not a sports fan, and I said, hey, I got this game, I don't have tickets. I'm getting a little concerned. He said, well, for what game? I said, the Raptors and the Grizzlies. He says, oh, I got a connection for tickets. I said, really? And I said, well, could you check it for me? I said, yeah. And the person calls back. Oh, and by the way, one of my fantasies is to watch a game courtside, like right on the courtside. So the person calls me back and says, oh, I got some courtside tickets if you want. But the only thing is, I got 4 tickets. Oh, I said, oh, I think I could take 4. I only wanted 2, but hey, 4. So that's fabulous. And courtside tickets come with like a buffet and drinks. I mean, it's a really smoking deal. So I can't believe this is happening. This is incredible. And then she said, oh, it's actually the second row, not the front row. It's the second row. And I was like a little disappointed, slightly. But I mean, who has the right to be disappointed when you're getting free courtside tickets? And the person said, well, that sometimes players crash into you and it spills your beer. They hit you. And then sometimes they can crash and land on you. So maybe the second row's a better thing. And so I get these 4 tickets, and then it's me and my friend Mike. So I had to call. And literally the day before, my brother-in-law said he'd come, and my nephew said he'd come. So 4 of us flying there. We go to the game. We're on the floor, warming up. All the players are right there. It's unreal. It's absolutely great. The buffet table's there. It is a smoking, incredible deal. The game is fabulous. The Raptors are actually losing by 15 points, but we're enjoying the heck out of this. Third quarter comes, and one of the Raptors players crashes into the lady in front of me, and she spills her beer on the guy next to him. If I was sitting there, I would have had beer spilled on me. And then, I'm not kidding, 5 minutes later, another player crashes into a cup and lands on a kid and his mom right on this side of me. And I thought, oh my, this is amazing. Here I thought first row was better, but second was even better than what I thought it was. Then the Raptors come back and they win by 10. It was an amazing experience. So the spiritual point I'm trying to make here is hope for free tickets. No, I'm just saying, is that even when things don't go well, sometimes you just got to open yourself to allow it to come. Because I looked at the event and I thought, oh my goodness, look how easily that all fell into place. That you could have been panicking, but it was amazing. Here's the first time, or one of the best times, I've allowed things to be easy, allowed things to fall into place. Allowed things. And things always actually go well for me, but it's amazing what can happen when we allow life to become easy. Want me to give you a spiritual example? In the beginning, it said, God said, let there be light. And there was light. He didn't force light. It said, let there be light. Every Sunday we sing, let there be peace on earth. And we could just say, let there be joy. Let there be kindness. Let there be wisdom. Let there be healing. Let there be fulfillment. we can let things happen in our lives a lot easier than forcing them. It says it's the Father's good pleasure to give us the kingdom. That means God isn't withholding anything. The question is, can you allow that love? Allow that abundance. Allow the wisdom and the inspiration to come through you, because it's all there available. We're the only ones that are actually stopping it and blocking it. My favorite hymn is O Holy Night, and here's my favorite line. A thrill of hope, the weary world rejoices, for yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. I never heard that line before. A thrill of hope. A thrill of hope. When was the last time you let hope thrill you? And then I thought, what a wonderful thing. Wouldn't it be cool to let hope thrill you? To let hope lift you and awaken you and open you that your life can get better, that there's solutions, that there are possibilities, that there's answers, and that there's something greater to be birthed through you if you allow yourself. You know the word prosperity? It comes from the Latin, means to go forward hopefully. Remember when Spock said, live long and prosper? Is live long and go forward hopefully. What a wonderful way to live a life, to live it hopefully. Because it means you're open to the idea that greater things are still to come. And that hope is available to us. That thrill of hope is available to us if we are willing to believe, if we are willing to trust, if we are willing to work, and if we are willing to allow it. The thrill of hope and going forward hopefully truly is the first message of the holy season, because it is the hope of Christmas. God bless you all.